Trailing in the fourth quarter to Millikin, Dylan Warden ignited North Central to a furious finish in Decatur. And the Chicago Marathon is looming, so how are former Cardinal runners prepping for the big day? I'm Kevin Jackman. All that and more on the Red Zone. A trip down to Decatur has the North Central Cardinal football team taking on the Big Blue. 100th homecoming on tap at Frank M. Lindsay Field, which is Millikin's brand spanking new football stadium. Matt Randolph and the Cardinals looking to get back on track against the 2-1 Big Blue after back-to-back losses. First play on offense saw Justin Hunterford toss a deep interception. Cardinals coming right back against Nico Stepina. Rich Zerngable in the perfect spot, and he's off to the races inside the 15. Cardinals offense goes to work. Hunterford takes the snap and shovels a perfect pass to Austin Brunig, who does the rest. Sneaks inside the pylon for the first score of the game. Alex Omer racked up 144 yards in his score last week, and he brought his A game again today. Takes a big hit on the right side but holds on. Grabs a pretty pass over the middle for a sizable gain and caps it off as Hunterford disconnects the Big Blues remote controller on a beautiful pump fake and 9 route. Omer with 95 yards and that touchdown. Defense just as good in the first half as Jack McCoy sneaks around the corner and nabs Stepina from behind for the sack. But Millikin isn't going to let the Cardinals fly away with this victory. Hunterford with a quick receiver screen that does not find its intended target. Rather, it's Demetrius Loper with his second pick of the day, and he returns it 38 yards for a score. Randolph takes the handoff and stumbles, bubbles, and rumbles his way inside Big Blue territory, but the Cardinals don't score, and we head into half 14-7. Third quarter was Millikin's. Stepina hadn't gotten anything through the air, so he takes matters into his own hands, or rather feet, on a quarterback keeper sprinting down the sideline. Tie ball game. Stepina just a freshman, but he has his team even with NCC. Big Blue back with it. Stepina looking deep down the sideline and drops a pretty pass for fellow freshman Ryan Tutts. Worked once, let's do it again. Stepina, Tutts, touchdown, and Millikin now leads 21-14. Could the Big Blue pull off a big upset of number 21 North Central? The short answer from Dylan Warden, no. Fourth quarter and the Cardinals answer. Warden keeps it himself and finds the end zone tie game. No, this isn't the same clip. It's just Warden being Warden, taking the ball off the left side and turning on the Jets. NCC now leads 28-21. Ensuing kickoff, Cardinals continuing their terrific special teams play, coming up with a loose ball. Warden punching the time clock again, puts it in the belly of the back, and the referee gets the best seat in the house as Matt Randolph crosses the goal line, now 35-21. Millikin searching for an answer after 21 straight points from North Central, and that's not going to help their cause. Justin Sturzma and Jack McCoy swarm Stepina. Jimmy Pelnarch finds the football, and, well, they're just a little excited about it. Next possession, Dylan Warden. Why not? 3 in the fourth quarter for Warden on the ground as North Central tacks on another score to finish the game on a 35-0 run to win 49-21. Welcome to the Red Zone, joined by head football coach Jeff Thorne. Coach, I know you couldn't do this on Sunday when you were reviewing film, but I like to skip the first 3 quarters and go right to the fourth because that was one of the most exciting stanzas I've ever seen. You guys entered trailing by 7, and Dylan Warden came in at quarterback, and from there you guys just ignited. How impressed were you with your squad and the way they responded in that fourth quarter?
Very. You know, we spent all last week talking about finish because that's been the difference in the 2 losses. We just didn't finish. We had the lead. We had the game, you know, where we felt like, hey, we're in control here. Mm-hmm. It started to get away from us, and we couldn't stem the tide and finish. And momentum is an amazing thing. When you get momentum, you don't want to let it go, and when it's on the wrong side, you got to do something to change it. And making the change, you know, we had 3 receivers that played against Wesley that were all out, and then we had a 4th get hurt in the game. Mm-hmm. So, and then we had a couple mistakes up front and on the outside on the 2 interceptions. So Justin was just having a hard time getting his rhythm, and we felt like we just needed to change up and add one more hat into the run game that they have to account for, and Dylan came in and was remarkable.
Now, I saw you share a little moment with him after the game when you guys were in your little quarterback meeting. What was the message from you to him?
Well, I mean, you know, at halftime we went in and talked to the whole group, and there were a few guys that we singled out, Dylan being one of them. Hey, we need you to make some big plays, because he's a big playmaker. He's such a big part of who we are. And for him to respond the way that he did was really encouraging, and I was proud of him.
Now, Millikin came out tough. I mean, they came out with a lot of speed. They kind of startled you right off the top with that one interception at the very first offensive play.
Right.
When you look at the way that they played, especially in the secondary, is that what kind of disrupted the pass game in that first half, do you believe?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it was a combination of missing a couple of assignments. That very first play, we missed an assignment, and Justin gets hit while he's throwing the ball. But yeah, that number 2, their corner number 2, is extremely fast, and he made both interceptions. Very good player. And as I said last week, getting ready for the game, we knew they were going to have a lot of speed. They're going to play physical, and they did.
Now, defensively, you look at 3 plays, the 2 long pass plays and the 1 long quarterback scramble. Outside of those, I mean, the defense was fantastic on the entire afternoon. How impressed were you with that unit?
Very. Excited too. You know, that's what we need to see going forward. We gave up a couple big plays, but that's going to happen now and then when you want to play a more aggressive approach. We missed a tackle on the long run, and that kid, their quarterback, is extremely fast. And it was fun to watch him. Not fun, but impressive watching him run down the sideline. I mean, he was flying. But yeah, I think our defense played very, very well.
The front 4, especially Jack McCoy, Jimmy Pelnarch, those guys got after it. It seemed like they ticked up the intensity, especially in that fourth quarter, forced the fumble, got into the backfield with regularity. Is that what you saw looking back? You
know, going back to the whole idea of momentum, understanding the situation and the moment, and our defense, I think, really understood the moment. We got that game-tying touchdown. They got a stop. We got another score. We get a fumble. We get another score, and all of a sudden, 35 points are scored in a quarter. You can't do that without your defense doing its part and getting the ball back to the offense, and they did a wonderful job of that.
I want to take a look at that defense and the offense, for that matter, when we break down tape. Coming up on the Red Zone, we'll be right back.
Time for the play of the game. Down by 7 in the fourth quarter, the final stanza becomes the Dylan Worden Show as the junior quarterback scores 3 times, including this burst into the end zone to give the Cardinals the lead for good and to give himself the Red Zone's play of the game.
Randolph really sparked us off right away with this huge runs, and then Bruni came in, and then I did what I could in the fourth quarter on those read plays, and I thought we responded well after that first half.
Back with head coach Jeff Thorne, and time to break down some game tape. First thing I want to get to is the go-ahead touchdown from Dylan Worden. He came in, he ran the offense to near perfection, and on this particular play, read the defensive line pretty well and was able to scamper into the end zone.
Yeah, it's just a read play, and Dylan's got his eyes on his read key, and it tells him whether he should give the ball or pull it. Did a nice job of pulling that and finding the seam in the defense.
How tough is that decision to make for a quarterback? You have a kind of a split second to read that and make the decision, especially in a big situation like that. How tough?
It's not easy, but that's why we practice. You know, we get a lot of reps at that every single day. So he's done that thousands of times. So at that point, it should be something that they're able to do.
We're going to stick with offense for this next play. It was almost like a video game where the guy just unplugged his remote. Justin Hunterford went deep to Alex Ulmer, froze the entire defense with a pump fake. It was a thing of beauty, at least from on top of the press box. What did you guys see? Did that work out as well as you had hoped?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, give credit to Coach Spencer for seeing this on film. It felt like we could take advantage of this. And a great job by Alex Ulmer of selling, you know, that he was going to block that corner and slip through and froze the safety, and Justin made a good throw.
I thought he was going to get eaten up by the turf monster right there on like the 15-yard line. But how big has his emergence been the last couple of weeks?
Alex Ulmer?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a phenomenal player. He really emerged last year, North Park, and then into the Wheaton game last year. He was tremendous, and he was actually an all-conference player last year as a return man. And we haven't used him there at all this year because he's become so important as a receiver. He's a great player, great athlete. He's from Colorado, was an all-state lacrosse player in Colorado. So I'm not at all surprised with what he's doing.
It's been exciting to watch him. The last play, we alluded to it earlier, was the sack, the big sack that came up with the fumble. It just seemed like those guys were getting into the backfield almost every single play, and on this particular one, they landed it, and it was Jack McCoy and Justin Sturzma coming around the corner. Yeah,
Justin just has an innate ability to be where the football is all the time. For 2 years now, he's been a playmaker, and Jack really has emerged this year as we had hoped with the ability to get to the quarterback.
I think Jimmy was a little excited at the end of that play as well.
Jimmy had a really, really good day. He got a sack himself, too.
Now, what can fans look forward to this upcoming week with North Park coming to town?
Another test, another challenge. They've got a fantastic quarterback, first-team all-conference guy last year in T.D. Conway. Big, 6'4", 220-pound guy that has a very strong arm, so he can make any throw on the field. So our secondary and our linebacking core will be tested in pass coverage, and we're going to have to continue to show the ability to get to the quarterback with our front four.
Is the message continue to be finished this week, considering those 2 weeks against Wesley?
Yeah, no question. I mean, if we're not able to finish, we're going to find ourselves at home at the end of the season and without a conference championship again. So it's going to have to be an ongoing rallying cry, for lack of a better word. We got to finish.
Best of luck hosting North Park this week. Should be a fun matchup.
It will be.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Well, coming up next on the Red Zone, Matt Randolph stops by. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Nice. No. Oops. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Back here on the Red Zone with Matt Randolph, and in that fourth quarter, Matt, it just seemed like you and Dylan were clicking on all cylinders. It was an impressive thing to watch. Going through it, you were actually a part of it. How did it feel for you guys to be just in stride?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan came in and just was ready to play. He was challenged at halftime by Coach, and he really responded, and I was really impressed. And we just kind of started to hit our stride as an offense, running the ball, and the offensive line was starting to click, and Dylan was making his reads really well. And when you're in the game and you're getting that kind of momentum, you just feel like you can't be stopped. It was really nice to see him come out and play like that.
Now, the message for the entire prior week was finish. And in that fourth quarter, it seemed like it might have slipped away in the third quarter, but you came out and you finished. I mean, you finished hard. 35 unanswered points to end that game. How was that feeling? Yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks against Platteville and Wesley, we were up 3 touchdowns at one point in the game, and we just couldn't finish the game. And it was starting to kind of look like we were struggling to finish again. And then just Dylan came in with a lot of emotion and energy, and he really helped us finish. And I think we just kind of started to hit our stride and just kind of
figure out like what we needed to do to get past Millikin, and they came out and they played their butts off. They played really well.
Now, it seemed like, because I was on the sideline for the second half, the intensity almost ticked up in the fourth quarter. Could you sense that as a unit kind of felt like this is our time, this is our make it or break it chance right here to win this game?
Yeah, definitely. I think we needed to do that for the defense because they had been playing great all game, and we gave Millikin a touchdown with an interception for a touchdown, and it was just we weren't doing our part and the defense was doing theirs. So I think we just knew that we needed to step up for the defense this week. You know, they played unbelievably, and we just needed to come out and do our part this time.
Now, on an individual level for you, you kind of came into the season expecting to play more of a versatile role, like an H-back or maybe a tight end role. You're back at running back, which has to be fun for you as well.
Yeah.
But how did you prepare for that role coming into the season?
I mean, just lifting, just getting to know what I was doing at each position. The more years that I've been here, because it's my senior year now, just trying to learn every position in the offense, offensive line, quarterback, what they were making their reads for, running back, wide receiver, H-back. It's just kind of, it's important to know all roles so that you know what's going on with everyone in each play. And just kind of a lot of the mental aspects of what I had to prepare for this year.
Now that you're back at running back, from year 1 to year 4, now that you have that full grasp of not just the running back position, but also kind of the versatility at those other positions, do you feel like that has helped you kind of being able to read not only the offensive line, but what the defense is doing, what the wide receivers are doing on the outside? Yeah,
I think by your 4th year, you're definitely seeing a lot more of just what the defense is doing and studying, like, you know, the offensive combinations and where they're going to get and where the holes are going to open up before the play even starts. I think it's not so much just read and react always when you're at running back now. It's a lot more of seeing what's going to happen before it actually happens and knowing where you're going to go.
Now, you were able to take a first-row watch at the defense and how they were working on Saturday. What did you guys feel like the offense-wise, how they were doing on the field?
They were playing great. I think they definitely figured out how we wanted to attack the quarterback, and they did a great job of defending both the pass and the run. I know the quarterback got away on that one really long run, but I think besides that, they held the offense of Millikin in check for the better part of the game for sure.
Last question looking back, how surprised were you that Millikin kind of came out with that intensity? It's been pretty lopsided in the last couple of years. Were you guys kind of knocked back by the fact that they came out with so much intensity?
I think we knew that they were going to be excited. It was their homecoming game, and I mean, every week we're expecting to get the best from any team that we play in conference. So I don't think we were surprised. I think it did definitely kind of wake us up a little bit, like, wow, they definitely came to play, but we never expect any team to lay down for us. So we know that we're going to get the best from every team that we play in a conference.
Now, I don't want to make you look ahead, but there's 2 weeks until the battle for the Little Brass Bell. You have North Park this week, you have Carthage next week. There are 2 games that you guys are, have to focus on, obviously. How do you prepare for these next 2 weeks knowing that big test is looming pretty close?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going 1-0 each week right now and focusing on finish. And I mean, we know if we don't take care of business the next 2 weeks, that, I mean, it's not going to matter if we beat Wheaton. We're going to have a poor chance of making the playoffs anyway. So right now it's just going 1-0 each week and focusing on our opponent, knowing that Wheaton's there, but making sure that we're taking care of what we need to take care of before we get there.
Kind of at the midway point of the season, we know that Eric Knaperick and Pat Bolger are the captains of the team. They're kind of the leaders. Aside from those 2 guys, who's kind of emerged as maybe a voice or maybe somebody who leads by example, that you guys have noticed in practice and during the games? On
the offensive side of the ball, I've really, as not a senior, I definitely have noticed Alex Ulmer really emerging, not only his play but also in practice. He's been doing just a great job of just kind of getting guys fired up and making sure that guys are doing what they need to do in practice. And he's really led by example in games as well.
Now, the night before you guys take the field against North Park, it's going to be the Crosstown Classic at North Central. And, well, I think you know that matchup pretty well, considering you were at Central for a number of years. Are you excited to see what your Red Hawks can do against the Huskies?
I am excited. I know that North's been having a struggle a little bit this year, but I know that, it doesn't matter what the records are of both teams going into that game. Both teams come out fired up and ready to play. I know that Coach Drendel at North is going to have the team ready to get after the Red Hawks, but I'm definitely going to be pulling for the Red Hawks. Keep sticking with my team, but I'm really excited to see how that game works out. It's always a fun one.
High school football, the atmosphere is always electric, especially when it's hosted inside Benedetti Worley Stadium. What are your best memories of those matchups against Naperville North?
Yeah, one of my best. I just remember our fan section my senior year. They were filling up a whole half of the home stands in North Central, and I remember one of the kids was dressed up as Gandalf and did like Parting of the Red Sea. That was pretty interesting. They had some fun stuff that they did, but yeah, I just remember the electricity. It was just a game that unlike any I've ever played, and just the entire stands were filled on both sides, and it was just a lot of fun to be a part of.
Well, best of luck to your Cardinals and your Red Hawks this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you so much.
Well, coming up next, we'll sit down with Sports Information Director Clark Teuscher and hear from cross-country alumni as they gear up for the Chicago Marathon. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
We often say that we save lives, but what happens is we change lives and we save lives, and we truly do that.
Since opening in 1971, NCO has grown to include programs providing prevention, education, counseling, and housing to best serve youth and their families in the greater Naperville area. NCO has since grown in response to a community's need. They now include such services as their snow programs for students, transitional housing for young adults, and their newest, a program for children diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD.
The vast majority of people in this world will at some point or another come to a crossroads where they're going to need some more help. If we can make it accessible and easy for them to come to us and it's a comfortable atmosphere, then we've done what we needed to do.
For more information about NCO Youth and Family Services, log on to ncouYouth.org.
It's time to welcome Clark Teuscher to the program. Clark, first thing I want to get to is the women's golf team, because they had a pretty good showing this past week at the CCIW Championship. Third place out of the 8-team race, and they look pretty good.
Yeah, they duplicated their finish from a year ago after losing, their top golfer from the previous year. So certainly encouraging. It's a three-day tournament, so consistency is really important, and it wasn't necessarily quite what Coach Thompson would have hoped for from some of his top performers from throughout the season, but Paige Kandra had been the number 6 golfer on the team heading into, for most of the season heading into the tournament, and winds up finishing 9th place overall to get all conference honors. So, it was good to see, certain people step up to fill the gaps where they were able to do that.
Coming off that meet, what were the vibes kind of surrounding the program? Do they feel like they're moving in the right direction, that they've got some really good cornerstones to build off of? I
think so. Most of the team will be back next year, so they'll have a spring season to kind of work on some things. I think certainly Coach Thompson is interested in doing some additional recruiting and kind of improving the depth a little bit. So I think he's got a good base to work from.
We'll stay with golf. We'll go to the men's team. They also had a pretty strong finish this past week down at Millikin. They went to the Big Blue Fall Classic, and 5th place out of 14 teams is certainly a place that they'd like to be.
Yeah, and the best round of the season, the second day of that tournament, so certainly a good way to go into the fall. A lot of guys went low, in the entire field, but you'll be able to move up, 3 spots to 5th place on the second day. Definitely encouraging.
Now they have a spring season to look forward to. The pieces that they have as well kind of project them to be looking pretty good, especially with the weight regimen that they've put in place. Do you expect the spring season to be even better than this fall season?
Yeah, I mean, it takes some time for something like that to really take effect. It gives them, they've got 6 months or so before they really start playing competitive golf again. So, a lot can change during that amount of time.
Now, the men's cross-country team, they seem to be rounding into form. I mean, we've seen this for now almost 50 years with Al Carius. It's led by Zach Plank. He's out in front of the pack, leading the charge. Do they look like a championship caliber team yet again? Well,
I think they're feeling better about that than they have been, in weeks past. Seeing some guys, kind of round into racing shape. The gap between the top 5 finishers probably is a little larger than they would like to have it at right now. They've got a couple of weeks before they head up to Wisconsin-Oshkosh against a very tough field on the course that'll host the national championship, and it's also a meet that they, have a lot of data to fall back on from previous year's performances. So that's really kind of a benchmark time of the season for that program.
We caught up with past cross-country runners, which, let me tell you, is no easy task, to talk about this weekend's Chicago Marathon and this week's Cardinal Corner.
110 years after the first Chicago Marathon, 45,000 runners will pass through the start line at this year's race along the shores of Lake Michigan.
It was a better idea I thought about 8 months ago when I was still trying to sign up for it, but no, I'm really excited.
It's understandable to need a little extra motivation when facing down the 26.2 long miles at the Chicago Marathon. But that's the task facing former North Central runners Mitch Gilbert and Bobby Meddy this upcoming Sunday. And they're doing it for a second time.
Every race, you gain more and more experience. So having already run 2 marathons, I know this time around I am much more prepared mentally, and that just goes so much further than where I was last year.
Last year was my first time, and I guess it's almost like just you don't really know what to expect. Again, a marathon is such a long distance that if something goes wrong, you can't let it ruin your whole day. I mean, you pay $200 for this, even if things don't go great, that's how it goes. But I mean, time is a goal, but if things start going nasty, fast, I just got to remember that I'm out there for fun. So
for Meddy, the first go-around was taxing on his body. After coming out strong and on pace for a time a shade under 3 hours midway through, his muscles cramped, often leaving him walking to the finish line with a not-so-ideal time.
Last year, after I bonked at Chicago, I had a month in between that and the Naperville Marathon, and Kyle Brady and Nick Hurd really helped me come up with a nutrition plan for the race, because that's something I completely neglected.
Kyle Brady and Nick Hurd are also alums of the Cardinal running program, but became so much more than athletes after graduation.
Just like in college, they were volunteer coaches. After college, I looked to them for some help because they've done a number of marathons, and they're both very well-accomplished runners.
Of course, the man at the helm, Al Carius, is the guiding hand that has steered his team to 15 championships in 49 years. And considering his level of success to accompany his unparalleled longevity at North Central, the culture is rich with strong habit-forming practices to mold the student athletes.
The nice thing about just North Central is it's such a, it becomes a habit. Al focuses so much on life lessons, and while it really does suck, not having a team to kind of hold you accountable up in the mornings, a lot of times I'm kind of a night runner now, so I do a lot of my runs at night, but having a community like this just teaches you so much.
I had my parents out there. They saw me at a few spots. Also one of my best friends, Spiro, who's also a North Central alum, he was out there, so it was some good support. I also wore the stripes, my North Central alum track and field jersey, so we had a bunch of people yell out North Central, a bunch of people yell at Naperville, so it was pretty unbelievable.
So what are Meddy and Gilbert expecting come Sunday?
We've talked about kind of running together, this and that, and something that was cool was last year when you wear the North Central gear. So many people just know the school, and you get so much love and support. So even if during certain parts of the race we're not running together, we're out there for the same goal. It'll be as close to old times as it can possibly be. So I'm very excited.
No matter what happens, both athletes express their gratitude towards the man who catapulted them to success after leaving North Central, Al Carius.
That's amazing. Every single alum that's gone through this program, Al means so much to us. The reason why we want to come back to the program, the reason why we miss this program so much in running cross country and track is because of him.
Last but not least, the women's cross-country team, they're also looking very good. Megan Costanzo is yet again one of the top performers, not just in this program, but in the CCIW as well.
Yeah, really took a step forward last year during the track season, and looks like she's continued that this year. Has a chance to win some awards on the national level in cross-country. Some other younger athletes trying to kind of close down the gap and get a little closer to where she's finishing. Helen Meyer is one of the, she got all the way through the regionals last year and then got hurt and wasn't able to run at nationals, and has spent most of the last year, rehabbing and getting back into shape, and it looks like she's going to be in a position to help that team as well.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate the visit.
Thank you.
We're out of time on this edition of the Red Zone, but you can always find additional coverage of North Central sports on our website at nctv17.com under the Red Zone tab. North Central hosts North Park this Saturday. We'll bring you the game live from Benedetti Worley Stadium starting at 1. I'm Kevin Jackman saying so long. We'll see you next week on the Red Zone.